Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and it's time for part 2 of the Q&As, so let's go ahead and get this started. First question. How must someone suffering with low back pain from anterior pelvic tilt train legs? What is the most optimal combo of exercises? You need to build your glutes, hamstrings, low back. Okay. First off, you need to start box squatting. Go ahead and box squat. Life's going to be a lot easier. You probably need to be doing glute bridges. You probably need to be doing good mornings. Okay. You need to learn proper squat mechanics, because you can control the amount of pelvic tilt that you have on your exercises. Okay. You've got to learn to video yourself. You've got to learn to be consciously aware of what's going on, right? Because that's kind of a big problem people have too. They'll complain about a movement pattern or something that hurts. Well, if you've got a movement pattern issue in your training like that, it's generally going to be a major muscle weakness, or you just don't know how to perform the exercise. And if you don't know how to perform the exercise, you need to video yourself. If you have a muscular weakness, it's going to come out on video. Okay, but go ahead and box squat. Learn how to box squat correctly. You've seen me do it plenty of times. But you need to build your posterior chain up. That's how you're going to sort this. That is going to be required. You're going to need glutes. Okay, glutes, hamstrings, erectors. So those are big movements that will fix that. Like I said, glute bridge, good mornings, easy solution. Because what you have is probably a muscular weakness. And we don't fix major muscular weaknesses with a little bitty band, unless it's a tiny, tiny muscle. Every muscle involved in that's a big muscle. You need to balance it all. Big movements will do it. All right, next question. If a powerlifter has too much fat in relation to their strength for whatever reason, how would you recommend they lose the excess fat to get into a lighter weight class without losing a lot of strength? Well, you watched me do a 15-pound weight drop last year, and during that 90-day phase where I kept all of my lean tissue, I kept my strength. You saw pretty much what I did. What did I do? High protein, moderately high calories. I didn't have a really low deficit, obviously, because 15 pounds over 90 days is not a lot. And increase my training volume. Okay. Increase your training volume. If you lose strength as a power lifter, what's the two sources of your strength? Well, your maximal strength is going to come from training your max effort work, right? Well, that is either there or it isn't. Either you're training maxes or you are not. Okay? I don't know your training style. I don't know if you do maxes year round. So that part you have control of with that. So where does the rest of your strength come from? The muscle mass that you have, right? See, when we dispel these little myths that, size and strength aren't really the same thing, all this silly nonsense that the evidence is disproving repeatedly, what do we come back to? Well, you have to keep your muscle. How do you keep your muscle? Do a lot of supplemental work, right? Train with enough training volume to try to stimulate muscle growth. Right, there's number one. If you were trying to keep muscle on the cut, what's the best way to keep muscle on the cut? To actively try to gain muscle. Means you need to be pushing your training volumes up relatively high within your ability to recover. Number two, all of your training needs to be geared in that direction. If you're doing a bunch of list cardio and you're trying to cut and you lose strength, you decided you were going to lose strength. Why? Because list cardio strips muscle off of you in a calorie deficit. Anyone telling you otherwise abuses trend. Okay? Anyone who tells you that you can add list cardio to create a deficit and you won't lose any muscle tissue from it uses trend. Okay? Or they work with complete novice lifters, which you are not. Don't do stupid list cardio. Protein high, small calorie deficit. When I say protein high, how much? I don't know. How much protein does your food budget afford? Okay. There are no negatives to our training, to protein overfeeding, to our body composition, to weight management, anything else. There are no negatives. Protein is expensive. That's the negative. Okay, I don't know what your food budget looks like. Higher is generally better. Eat more protein. Do more training volume. Don't do silly stuff that costs you muscle like less cardio or large calorie deficits. Strip body fat down. Keep all of your muscle. That's how you do it. Okay, that's the key. You have to keep your muscle tissue. If you can successfully do that, you will not lose strength. Because though your point is correct, we know that your physical structures will determine what your total is in a powerlifting meet. Okay, it won't determine your individual lifts, but we sure do know what a person's total is going to be. The data is kind of showing that. Well, we can do that with the squat. We can DEXA scan you and tell you what your squat's going to be, but not necessarily specifically your bench and your deadlift. There's too much leverage involved. But we can tell you which total's going to be. Fascinating how that works. So yeah, body composition matters. Let's be realistic here. In any given weight class, the shortest, leanest guy will probably win. In other words, you want to be an inch shorter and 1% less body fat than every guy in your class. If you can do that, you're probably going to win. So yeah, if you're too fat relative to your strength, you need to cut a weight class. That's being realistic. That's being honest with yourself. Hey, I'm going to have to do it too later. People are like, well, you're not fat. Well, for a weight class powerlifter, I am technically kind of fat. Sorry, guys. The guys who are getting pretty lean are the ones killing it. Right? They're the ones killing it. Unless they're really short and then they cheat on their drug test if they're tested, and otherwise they blast their brains out. Okay, you can get away with it then. But you better be 3 inches shorter than everyone in your class if you're 16, 18% body fat. 20%. You better be short. And you're probably going hard in the sauce at that point. So failing that, you need to be lean. You need to be leaner. That's reality. That's the direction the sport has gone. That's why records are being broken. Body composition and understanding the value of it. All right, next question and last question of the week. Hey, coach, I reached a 310 box squat a few months back. Then, while screwing around after a training session one evening, I pulled something in my lower back/hip, so I had to detrain a little. I never really stopped, just deloaded. But I haven't been able to get back to even 300 since. Everything else seems to be moving along fine. Any advice? I don't know. You could hire me as a coach. We'd sort that out. I got plenty of guys box squatting past 300. But over to the point, you need to assess your weakness. You need to probably strengthen the area that you pulled further, right? Because you're probably scared to push those areas because you pulled it before. You could have some psychological fear of that. Your body could be holding back because it knows that area is still weak that you injured and it's not letting you do certain lifts. It's in your brain. It's psychological. So you need to go through and you need to strengthen that whole area that you pulled a lot more. But you need to do first of all. Number 2, you need to assess what's going on with your box squat. Are you not doing enough training volume on it? Are you not doing enough training volume on the supplemental lifts that are building up your weak links? Okay, you need to figure out what your weak link is there and why it's not growing. Do you have a different technique after that injury that's made you change the way that you do the movement? That could be it, because if everything else is stronger, if everything else is back and just that one exercise is still way down, did you change your technique to something a lot worse? Or was your form extremely bad and you cheated the weight up before, and because you've rehabbed an injury, are you being stricter now and your 310 box squat was garbage? You could have been rocking the box like crazy. And maybe you're at 290 now, but it's an actual legitimate box squat. Could be that also. There's a lot of factors. Without you putting up videos of the before, the after your training, all of your background stuff, which would take someone like me an hour to go through, we don't have a full answer. Those are possibilities. Probably something in there. So think through all those different possibilities. You know what the answer is. Because you know what you do with your training. You know you do with your body. You see your own lifting videos. Because you film your lifting videos, right? Because I tell everybody to do that. So you obviously do that. You know what's going on subconsciously. And figure out what it is. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.